Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Going to get back on the AT-1 MX crankshaft today and see if we can get that finished up. So let me get you overhead here, we'll get into the prep and then we'll get over to the press and see if we can get it together. Okay, just the normal type prep here. We're going to get everything clean. The pin, the area that the thrust washers goes in, and on this side the same thing, and of course the hole instead of the pin. Okay, and we'll get our pre-lube. That down around the area there, and get a thrust washer on and lube on it, of course. And we're going to get our bearing nice and full. Get it on. And of course clean the rod good there. And we'll get a little lube in it. And slide it on. And of course our other thrust washer. And then I'm going to wipe this down a little bit. I'm going to try to get a lighter weight oil on there, because as I push this on, it's going to push it off anyway. It's probably a little bit more apt to let some of the thinner stuff under the pressure. I doubt it though. And we'll put some in the pin area also. And make sure we get some in the recess. All right, I think the prep is done. I actually let a bunch of that pre-lube stuff go in there. It's not going to hurt anything, but I just would rather have the lighter weight oil there. I think just more apt to do some good. All right, let's get you over to the press and let's see if we can get this together without too much of a problem. Okay guys, got it set up here, I think the way we want it, and I think your view is good there. Alright, we'll get the other half up here, and I'm going to get my pin in. And get our pusher on. Take another peek at it here and make sure we're kind of straight and level. Okay, I've got it started, so I'm going to get my pen out. Alright guys, another thing I am going to do here, and I don't think I mentioned it during the intro, before I took this, the old crankshaft apart, I got a basic measurement between the two halves, and that measurement is about .350. And what I've done is I've compiled a set of shims and a spacer, and I've got it at 360. And what I'm going to do is stick that in between. As hard as this thing's going together, that way it will limit when it starts popping. Hopefully I can stop it before it gets too far. And by putting a shim on each side of the aluminum spacer here, I should be able, if it gets tight, I should be able to drive the aluminum spacer out without causing any damage to anything with a drift. So here's where we're at. The pin's out and everything's looking pretty good, so we're going to continue on here. See, it's starting to get tight now. That's when that popping starts. And I failed to bring my feeler gauge over here. Let me go get that. Okay, I've got the 18 thousandths. Remember, this needs to be set between 15 and 19. So I'm going for that one right now. Still loose on our shim pack. Okay, that just tightened it up. So I'll see where we're at. I think we still got a lot of room here. Oh yeah. Okay, let me release this and see if I can get this out. Yeah, I think so. So we've got to go a little bit yet. So I'm going to take 5 thousandths out. And put this back in. It's going to be more than that. I think I better take, I'm going to take 8 out. This is just kind of a safety thing to keep me from overdoing it, so I have to wedge it back apart. I want to just look in here and get an estimate of where we're at. See, 24 still goes in there, easy. So let me give her another pull here. See, that's what you've got to control it somehow. Oh boy, you're not going to believe that. I think we're just right there. That's a good snug 18. Let me find a 19 if I got one. I got one. Okay, 19. It's still a little loose. And this pack is tight again. So I'm going to let the pressure off. I may have to get something to take that out. Okay, I just measured our play there, and I got 22 thousandths is what it's showing right now. Get in there. Okay, 22 just barely, it's a tight fit. Okay, that's what we've got. And my shim pack on the last go round was my aluminum spacer, and let's see, I've got two 10 thousandths ones. So if I put a 5 thousandths shim in there, that should get me in the ballpark. So I'll put 110 and the aluminum spacer and a 5. That should get me close to my goal. Okay, let's give her another shove and see where she goes. Okay, that won't go. All right. That's a 16. It slipped in pretty good. Let me try a 17. There we go. Yeah, maybe I can get an 18. Let me see. Okay, there it is, 18. And it's a snug one, but it's there. So we made our target. So let's go see, go take a look at it real quick and start checking the run out on it. Okay guys, just a little recap of what I did there. Okay, what we've got here, we've got the 18, and it's pretty snug on the actual play. And what I did before I went over there, just right here at the bottom, I went in there and took my measurement. And you see, I ended up with, oops, I don't think you can see. That's about 352 is what I'm picking up right there. And what I decided to do was just, I machined an aluminum block at about 330, 328, is what I've got there. I wasn't really trying for much, but about 330. And then I cut two strips of 10 thousandths. and one of 5, and one of 3. And of course I put the whole shim pack in to start, and then just started removing and changing them around as it looked like, you know, for instance, when I took a measurement here and got 22, at that point I had the 10,000s on both sides. That was all that was in there. And I took 110 out and put the 5 in, went ahead and squeezed it again, and that put us right where we needed to be. So just something to think about, because it is a pain in the butt if you've got to wedge this back apart, and a lot of times you do, especially if they're tight like that. They'll pop on you, and they'll, instead of moving the 2,000s you were wanting, it moved 10, or it locked it all the way up or something. You know what I'm talking about. So just try to limit that and kind of approach it methodically, you know, as far as, okay, what is it now? How far do I need to go? And remove your shims accordingly. Anyhow, let's get it over on the lathe between centers and see what a run out is. I did want to, one other note is I put my shim pack back in here. I didn't want that to go any further, and I was afraid it might under that much pressure. So I went ahead and put that shim pack back in there, and as you can see, it's pretty much flush there. And on the other side, it's maybe, I don't know, let's see if I can get a measurement. About 2.5 thousandths. That's not right, is it? $20 thousandths. 20 thousandths. I can live with that. That's almost in all the way. It's got plenty in there. 20 thousandths. I'm not going to go back to the press on. And like I say, we're certainly recessed here, and just a little bit more so on this side. That's good. Okay, guys, got it all set up here. I don't know, is that glaring? I can't tell. We'll leave it without the light on for now. Okay, just got it in here and got our gauges kind of set up, and you can see we've got run out on both sides. I've got about 10 thousandths on the flywheel side and about 25 on the clutch side. Yeah, pretty close. Okay, first thing I want to do is I want to take care of this side. If you try to work on them both at the same time, you'll just get frustrated. So you just pick a side and start there. Okay, so this one is, I've got about 25 thousandths, and right here is the high. This is high. So I'm just going to mark this with a Sharpie right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to take a copper hammer and I'm going to strike it right there. And that should spin this down to take some of this out. It may not move the first time. You may have to strike it again. It's going to take some a little bit of effort. But I'm going to pull it out and show you what I'm doing here. Okay, here's our mark right here on top, and here's my copper hammer, and I'm going to strike it right there. And then we're going to put it back in between centers. And we're going to see if we've accomplished anything. And we moved something, I think. Yep. Okay. So we'll zero this back out. Now as we turn it around, see, we've got about 12.5. So we took more than half of that out. Now we may, I think we've actually increased it a little bit on the other side. There may be a reason for that, and there may not. Everything moves, so. Yeah, we got about 15 there. I'm trying to remember what we had now. I think it was 10. Okay, I got to kind of write this down so I can see if we're having a pattern that I need to change how I'm adjusting it. Okay, so I've got a piece of paper here so I can jot this down as I go along. And if you're doing this, I'd recommend you do the same thing. So if you're chasing one, you're moving one and to where you want it, and you move the other one away, you'll be able to notice a pattern and correct what you're doing. Okay, but again, I'm going to go back right here in the same spot, and I'm going to whack this one again right here. And because we brought that back, it was at 25, and we're at about 12.5 now. So that's what we're going to do again. And we've got our mark right here. Give her another whack. Okay. Okay, that last whack garnered us about 2.5 thousandths. We're down to about 10 now. And the magneto side is staying right at the 15. So it's staying put. So I'm going to go right back, the same high spot again, right here. You can see the mark. And I'm going to whack it again. Okay. We're at about 4.5, and it's still in the same spot. So off to whack it again. Okay. The last time we were at about 4.5, and now we're down to 3 on the clutch side. And pay attention to what's happened on the magneto side. It was 15, and now it's about 8. So it's starting to play into the equation now. So again, I'm going to go back. I'm going to whack the clutch side again and see if we get a further adjustment. Okay, now we're at about 1 on the clutch side, and the magneto side has gone to 7. So we're going to continue. Let's see. I think this time I'm going to let's see, where is that? It's right there. So here's my high spot on this side, and I think we're still, yep, still got the high spot right there, but it's a lot lower than it was. So on this one, I'm going to come in and I'm going to adjust it right here. Okay, let's take a look at it now. Magneto side over here. We're down to 3. Clutch side, we're at 2. It actually increased that side a little bit. Okay, and one thing you'll note is that both of them are at the same, they're high at the same place. So this is something that needs to be taken care of right here. And it really affects both halves at this point. So let's strike it again and see where we need to go from there. Okay, the last time you noted that it was high in the same spot on both sides. So I think what I'm going to try to do is correct that by squeezing the crankshaft down here and drawing both of these down at the same time. I've got my my copper jaws in here, and I'm trying to get it as straight as I can. And I'm just going to give it a little squeeze, not a lot, just a little bit. And then we're going to check it again. Okay, guys, I think we're ready to call it a day on this one. Let me see if I can get you a little bit. Okay, zeroed out on both. And over here, I've got about 1 thou to 1 thou and a half maybe. And on this side, on the clutch side, it's about 1 thou. I don't know, actually I'm on this side here, I'm seeing more like 1/2 thou. It's just barely moving. And this side, just a little over 1,000 on the mag side. So I think I know when to quit, and that would be right now, because that's about as good as we're going to get. You get a little overconfident, and you go trying to get this 1 thou and a half or a little over 1 thou there, and you're going to end up messing everything else up. So I think I'm going to call it a day on that. I think it's good enough. Okay, before we pull it out of here, we want to check our what they call the shake. It's a small end. You're at 0 right now. Yeah, maybe I haven't quite got it there. And then when you push it over, it should be under 40. It's 31 to 40 is what they call for. It's kind of hard to I'm going to call that yeah, getting kind of erroneous readings here. Okay, pull it all the way to the side, to the left side, zero it out, and then push it, and we're at 30. It says 31 to 40, but I think there's enough wiggle room in there. It's just hard to get this. Yeah, it's a pretty consistent 30. I'm not going to haggle over one. I think we're good. Okay guys, that just about does it. I think that our crank is ready to go, and I've got the transmission loaded in the case already. I've got the cases together because I was doing some measurements in there. So I'll take that back apart. We'll get the crankshaft in and do whatever we need to do to start putting the engine back together. But I feel confident about the work we've done today on the crankshaft. It's like 1/1000th short, but it's just really hard to push that with the grease in there and everything. It's kind of slow coming back. But it seemed like it was a pretty consistent 30, so I'm not going to quibble over 1/1000ths on the shake, especially when our axial play is correct. I'm just going to have to call that a success and press on. I think, you know, it's been my experience in the past, if you get to trying to to get better than probably the best you're going to get, you end up just chasing that all day and you're never getting anywhere. So you've got to know when to stop. And I think this one's going to run just fine. It's not going to shake, and everything's going to work as it should. So that being said, thanks for going along on the ride, and we will see you next video.